bit. Okay, so n is omega, square root n is omega n. So let's do that. So exercise is solution. So the first thing that we were looking at is square root n is not omega n. Once again, let me quickly show how it's done. Suppose square root n is indeed omega n, so we are proving the contradiction. This implies there exists a constant and an n naught. So you guys are also allowed to tell me what to do. Okay, so you want to try? Who was speaking right now? You want to tell me how to do this? You want to continue from here? हेलो
सर आपकी वॉइस इतनी लो क्यों आती है?
वॉइस लो है?
हाँ मतलब क्लियर नहीं आती है उतनी।
माइक का प्रॉब्लम होगा तो बता देना चाहिए। Now is it fine?
Yes sir.
So how is it in the recorded meeting? Recorded meeting, you are able to hear what I'm saying?
हाँ सर।
Oh, okay. Right. So you want to help me with this?
Yes sir.
हाँ बोलो। तो इसके आगे क्या होगा?
Root of n is greater than or equal to n.
Why n? Square root n is greater than or equal to n. Why?
Sir
By definition. By definition. हाँ क्या है by definition? If square root n is omega n, if fn is omega gn, all it means is there is a constant c and positive integer n naught such that
root of n is greater than or equal to c times n. हाँ
बाकी का कौन बोलेगा? For all n greater than or equal to n naught, you cannot say part of the sentence and stop. Okay, tell me the full answer, right? So this is true. Therefore, what do we do here now? Next step.
root of n upon n. Let's divide n throughout.
You want to do that? Okay, square root n by n is greater than or equal to c for all n greater than or equal to n naught. Okay, then
Sir, then we all know that root of n is greater than or equal to 1, and then 1 is greater than or equal to 1 upon root n.
you mean this. This is 1 by square root n and this is greater than or equal to c. That's what you mean, right? Okay, so now what goes wrong?
Sir, 1 upon root n would be less than or equal to 1. No?
Right, but c can also be less than 1, no? Who said C is much greater? But C is a constant. So what are you supposed to do here? Others also think about this. Okay, you're not just watching. If you think you know what you have to do, then you can tell. No problem.
सर 1/√n is less than or equal to 1, तो इधर कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन मिल जाएगा.
नहीं मिलता है ना. C है ना यहाँ पे, 1 तो नहीं था. See, what you're saying is this. 1
If
by
we
square.
take C as 1.
No, we cannot take C as 1, no? See, what does this mean? There is some constant. When are we choosing a constant? When something is true for all constants, then we can choose one. But this only says there exists one constant. वो एप्सिलॉन वाले में लिटिल ओमेगा में था. It was true for all constants epsilon. Therefore, you can choose it to be 1, right? इसका ही पहले वाला प्रूफ देखा था ना आपने. n is not big O square root n. We did not choose what C was. C was given to us. राइट. एक मिनट, तो एक रिकैप करते हैं. इसके पहले वाला प्रूफ देख ही लेते हैं. Where is the proof of this? So we are here. There exists a C greater than 0, right? You're not choosing C to be anything. Using this, now you have to contradict this statement. And that's where we chose n prime accordingly. Okay? So now, we are here. How will you contradict this statement? C is a fixed constant. When n tends to infinity, 1 by square root n का क्या होता है?
0.
Okay, so something is going wrong. Are you getting a contradiction?
Yes sir, but उसको ऐसे लिखेंगे कैसे?
अरे तो वही तो सोचो. आई एम हियर, यू टेक योर टाइम. टेक 2-3 मिनट्स. ट्राई. आप लोग ऐसे ही बैठ के लेक्चर सुन रहे हो या हाथ में नोटबुक पेन पेंसिल कुछ है? ऐसे ही बैठ के सुनोगे तो समझ में नहीं आएगा. टेक समथिंग. यू शुड हैव सम रफ वर्क विद यू. ट्राई वर्किंग आउट. टेक 2 मिनट्स. सब लोग एक एक पेपर का पीस और पेन लेके बैठो अभी. एंड ट्राई वर्किंग दिस आउट एंड टेल मी व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट स्टेप. So are you guys trying something or are you just sitting? So 1 by square root n tends to 0, right? Limit as n tends to infinity, 1 by square root n tends to 0. उसका
सर अभी
definition
हमें
हाँ बोलो.
मैक्सिमम लेना पड़ेगा, लाइक n0+1 कॉमा 1/c+1.
n0 plus 1 is fine and 1 upon c plus 1.
हाँ
स्क्वायर आएगा ना, बिकॉज यहाँ पे स्क्वायर रूट है.
हाँ हाँ स्क्वायर है, सॉरी.
Okay,
हाँ
so yeah, so that is what you have to work out. It was very simple actually, more or less simple. So let n prime equal to max out of anyways n naught plus 1, because you want to be able to contradict this statement. So you have to be in this region. Your n prime should be greater than n naught. What else? So working. You want to contradict this. You want 1 by square root n prime to be less than c. That will give you your contradiction, right? But if that is true, then 1 by c is less than square root n prime. But if that is true, 1 by c square is less than n prime. Is that correct?
yes sir.
Okay, so what should n prime be? So take
Maximum of n0+1 comma 1/c.
1 upon c square will give you equal to, so you can take plus 1. You can do 1 upon c square plus 1. Then you are fine. You understand? You want this, right? You cannot have equality. So plus 1. So you get greater. Is that okay?
Yes sir.
So let us now fix this parameter and see how it goes. 1 by c square plus 1. Okay. Then what do we have by the condition? 1 by square root n prime is greater than or equal to c. Right? But 1 by square root n prime is actually equal to 1 by square root 1 by c square plus 1. Is that fine? But now this is the denominator, right? So denominator plus 1, if the denominator is larger, then the number is smaller. So if you want an upper bound, this is actually less than something when the denominator is smaller than this. It will be strictly less than. So it's strictly less than 1 by square root 1 by c square, because I have taken out this plus 1. This denominator is smaller than this denominator. So this number is smaller than this number. It goes ulta. Right? Is that clear? But what is this? This
Yes
is square root c square. And this is c. So what have we shown? That is 1 by square root n prime is less than c, which is a contradiction. Thus, n is not equal to, square root n is not equal to omega n. Is that okay for everyone? Okay, so let's go to the next exercise. What was the next one? So we were here. Then f is big O if and only g is big omega f. Okay. So what did we show? We showed that fn is big O gn implies gn is big omega fn. Right? We started with fn equal to big O gn. We used the arguments and showed that this implies gn is big O fn. Now next, the converse. Suppose gn is big omega fn. It should imply that fn is big O gn, right? So has anybody tried this?
Yes, sir.
So do you want to tell me how to do it?
There
Let's,
exists c greater than 0.
okay. So gn, suppose gn is big omega fn, this implies there exists c greater than 0. Go on saying, continue. And
Not belongs to z plus such that f of n is greater than or equal to p times gn.
no, g of n is big omega fn, no?
G of n is less than or equal to C of f of n.
Why less than or equal to? This is big omega. We are making lots of silly mistakes. Making lots of silly mistakes, huh? You have to be careful. बिग ओमेगा का डेफिनेशन देखिए, लेस देन और इक्वल टू सी एफ एन बोले तो जी इज बिग ओ एफ एन. Okay, so now
सर
what
f
next?
of सर ये थोड़ी ना होगा.
Let's see, चलो डेफिनेशन देखते हैं. F is big omega g if there exists c greater than 0 and n not such that fn is greater than cg. वहां पे स्टेटमेंट क्या है? g is big omega f, है ना? तो क्या लिखेंगे? अरे ऐसे कॉपी पेस्ट नहीं कर सकते, उधर कोई भी दो फंक्शन हो सकता है. You have to write accordingly, no?
Yes, sir.
You have to be very very careful when you read these lines. You cannot just scroll these things. मैं वहाँ पे नाम बदल गया और नाम यहाँ वहाँ बदलता रहेगा because not every time the left hand side will be called f and the right hand side will be called g. That is not necessary. Now there will be two functions h and k and we'll say k is big omega of h. तो अब क्या करेंगे? तो देख के समझ के लिखना पड़ेगा ना कि कौन सा कहाँ जाता है.
Yes.
So you have to be careful, okay? Okay, so let's go here. So now g is big omega fn. Therefore this is true. Then what do we do now? What do we have to show? F is big omega, big O g. Fn is big O of gn. Okay, so
1 upon c g of n is greater than equal to f of n.
okay, so I can also reverse the inequality and write it, no? So f of n is less than or equal to 1 by c g of n. Okay, for all n greater than or equal to n naught. आप जब आंसर बताते हैं तब ये पार्ट को छोड़ना नहीं चाहिए. आपने अभी सिर्फ इतना बताया, ये भी बोलना जरूरी होता है. ओके, डोंट मिस दिस. Whenever you miss something while saying, you might also miss while writing. वो मुश्किल है, ठीक है? So don't miss any part. Okay, so this is where we are. What now?
X dash 1 upon c.
Okay, take c prime as 1 by c greater than 0 because c is greater than 0. So
Then we have
so we get whatever it is, f of n is less than or equal to
c dash
c prime gn.
for all
Okay, good. Therefore
f of n is equal to big O of G of n.
Right. Is that okay? You're done. Okay. Is that okay? Right. So now let's go to the next exercise. What was the next one? Little o, little omega. So we have seen the definition yesterday. We did a revision of all this. And we saw a few examples. Right? Particularly this example. Okay. Now this thing was very similar. I know. Very similar to the previous type. So this f is little o g if and only if g is little omega f. So anybody wants to try this? I'll write it here itself. Who wants to try this? This is supposed to be easier actually. Just using definition.
Sir, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Suppose f of n is equals to little o of G of n.
Okay.
Then for all epsilon greater than 0,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
there exists n naught belongs to positive integers such that
Right. So I think I know what you're trying to tell me, but you give me 1 second. Just pause for 1 second. Okay. Just pause for 1 second. Right. Suppose f of n is equal to little o g of n. The epsilon n naught thing was, what was that? That was a definition of the limit, right? Right? We were saying that a certain limit goes to 0. Then we expanded it out and used that epsilon thing because at that point of time it was good to know. But now, while writing proofs, you should maybe check both and see which is easier to write down. Okay? So now note this. F of n is little o g of n implies, let me just write the limit thing. Limit n tending to infinity, f of n by g of n is equal to 0. Okay? But this is over, right? If limit f of n by g of n is equal to 0, by definition, g of n is equal to little omega f of n. Do you see why? This is exactly how I defined the little omega thing. The epsilon thing is right. What you're saying is right, but you will have to write some more. In this case, you are not required because both sides we have limit definitions anyways. Are you able to follow what I'm saying?
yes, sir.
This is easy, right? Because there is nothing, there is no change in the definition. So you don't have to do any manipulation. Okay, so that is what I wanted you to check this. I wanted someone to see that you don't have to write so much. You can just finish this in one line. Similarly, conversely, you want to try the converse now? What will I write conversely? Suppose,
Uh, Suppose G of n is equals to small omega of f of n.
Mhm.
That implies limit n tending to infinity G
Right,
of n divided by f of n divided by G of n
good. Yeah, f of n divided by g of n,
is equals to 0.
right?
That implies f of n is equals to small o of G of n.
Yeah, just by definition, right? Okay, is that fine? Is that fine, everyone? Is everybody able to follow what is going on here? If you did not understand, tell me. Okay, so let us go into the next exercise. So we were done with this. Then we looked at theta notation. We had the equivalent condition for theta. And now we were here, properties, some more properties of little o and big O, little omega, big omega. So little o is stronger than big O. So if f is little og, then f is big og. Okay. So somebody wants to try this one. F is little omega g, then f is big omega g. Somebody want to prove this? Let's do it here. Okay. So this was another exercise. If f is little omega g, then f is big omega g. So how do you prove this? Now here you will have to use the limit definition. So same guy, Sai, right? You were saying this. So now you want to try using limit definition.
Yes.
Okay. So what will it be? Suppose
F of n is equals to small omega of g of n.
right, small omega of g of n.
Then
Mhm.
then we have a limit tending to infinity. Uh, g of n divided by f of n is equals to 0.
Very nice. Okay.
Do we have to use epsilon definition after this?
You can try. Okay. So what will be your next step if you don't go to epsilon?
For all epsilon greater than 0,
Okay.
there exists n naught belongs to positive integer such that f of n is greater than or equal to 1 by epsilon into g of n.
Why is
For
that
all,
suddenly?
hello,
Hello. Yes.
f of n is greater than or equal to
Yeah,
1
but
by
you are
epsilon.
going. You are getting that from here, is it? From here you are going here. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, sir.
हाँ, so बीच का step फिर गड़बड़ हो गया ना. That's why I got confused. You wrote this in between thing, but then it is not this. No, there was some working involved. So yes, so you have to fix what you're, which way you are going. Okay, so then you should not write limit because then people might get confused. Ki suddenly how did the condition change? Okay,
Okay.
so for epsilon greater than 0, there
There
exists
exists n
not.
naught belongs to positive integer such that f of n is greater than or equal to 1 by epsilon
Mhm.
into g of n for all n greater than or equal to n naught.
Okay, very good. Then
In particular, we'll choose epsilon is equals to 1.
right.
Then there is n naught belongs to positive integers such that
Okay, so I'll just make a column here and write it here itself. Okay, then there exists m naught such that.
f of n is greater than or equal to g of n for all n greater than or equal to n naught.
Okay, so
That implies f of n is equals to big omega of g of n.
okay, nice, nice. Okay. So I hope this is an easy argument, right? I hope you are able to follow what is going on. Okay, did we have any other exercise? We had some more. Okay, we were here. We had a look at this property, and okay, this property is important, right? So you should be understanding this property. So I proved this anyways. Okay, right. The converse of this statement is not true. Okay, so did someone spend time on this converse thing? So yesterday I was explaining, right, what you have to do in the converse. Somebody wants to tell me what do we have to do in order to show that converse is not true? I was telling this yesterday. Okay, I told you, no, what is the meaning of converse is not true? Just repeat that, no? What does someone have to do to show that the converse is not true? You guys were there yesterday, right? This is the statement, property 3. If there exists a positive lambda such that limit n tending to infinity fn by gn is equal to lambda, then f is theta of g. So if the converse is not true, what does that mean? Okay, so once again, let me tell you. Yeah, somebody wants to say?
Sir, it means that if f is equal to theta g, then there does not exist lambda greater than 0 such that limit of n tends to infinity f of n upon g of n is equal to lambda.
That need not be true for all f and g, no? That's the converse statement. The converse statement is that if f is equal to theta g, then there exists lambda positive such that the limit is equal to lambda. But the converse is not true. What does that mean? Okay, so here's the thing. You have to be able to say what the converse of a statement is and what does it mean to say that the converse is not true. Ravi, can you switch off your mic? There is a lot of noise.
Sorry.
So you should be able to say at this level what is the converse of a statement and what does it mean when you say that the converse of the statement is not true. Okay, so what should you do? Go back today and think about this. Tomorrow I will ask again and I want the answer from one of you. Is that okay? I'm not going to tell this one. This one is very important and you have seen this many times when you were in bachelor's. You should think about this and tell me, first of all, if I give you this statement, property 3, what is the converse? What is the converse statement? And then, if that is not to be true, what should I show? Okay, and then the answer also. You have to spend time on this today, and I'll ask you this tomorrow again. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, go back and think about it. It's very easy, but you should spend time on this, because I can keep doing this again and again. Lot many times we'll come to converse of statements. Every time, it should be automatic for you what a converse is. So you have to spend time on this on your own. Okay, so yeah, that you have to do. And today I'll put up 2 or 3 videos today. But for tomorrow, you only have to look at the first one. Is that clear? I'll put up 2-3 videos today. For tomorrow, you have to look at the first one. And for day after tomorrow, you can look at the remaining 2. Is that okay? Day after tomorrow or maybe later, we'll see. Okay, for
Yes.
tomorrow, you have to look at the first one and this thing, the converse thing. And for tomorrow in the video, if there is some exercise, you should try that. Alright, is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay
Yes,
then.
yes.
Okay then. So let us stop here right now. And yeah, remember, I'll put up 2-3 videos for tomorrow. Look at the first one. There might be an exercise there, solve that, and think about the converse thing for this statement. Okay, otherwise I think we have completed all the other exercises, so we are fine. Anybody else has any doubts?